Love it or hate it, the Yankees finally made a move. And I think everyone wants to know, are the Mets going to do the same thing? We're hearing some rumors on some high profile free agent or pending free agents, maybe 1-year rentals. But Sam and Mike, I want to hear your thoughts too. Are there any names that you like that are kind of attached to the Mets in these free agent or trade deadline rumors?
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's been interesting. Obviously, I wish I could know what the Mets are going to do over the next day or so. But GM Zach Scott and kind of everybody's not exactly quite sure. They're feeling out the market for sure. Chris Bryant's a name that's been tossed around a lot. A name that at first I was kind of against, but I've started to think about it more and see how he could fit into this lineup because right now the offense has been a serious concern with this team. Just watching them over the last couple games, both tonight. I mean, they do have a run on the board right now. It's 1-0 at the moment, but just straining a lot of runners in scoring position. And then Monday night, the game I was at as well, the offense certainly struggled against the Braves, a team in the division that they should be really beating up on and trying to create some separation within the division. So the fact that this offense has kind of been an issue all year, they're fully healthy now, so there's no more excuses, and they're still not producing at the level that I think a lot of people thought they would. So a guy like Chris Bryant could provide that spark. He can play the outfield as well, in addition to third base, which is a nice kind of versatile. But in terms of the starting pitching, I mean, you get Rich Hill and a veteran starter that could help your team come playoff time, that could help your team kind of just fill in where there's certainly a lack of pitching depth right now. But going out and getting another starter, I've seen John Gray as a name. Certainly not a bad fit. Certainly another guy that can kind of fit in, slide to the back end of the rotation. That would help. But I think, honestly, the Mets should look to prioritize the offense right now. I think that seems to be the biggest concern.
Yeah, I'm with Sam on this one. I think that the offense is the way to go for the Mets if you're going to make a trade before this deadline. I like Chris Bryant. I also like his teammate, Javier Baez. I mean, he just said that he would want to play with Francisco Lindor, and I think it's really funny that players are gravitating towards the Mets now. That's a place that people want to play, especially with a guy like Lindor. And I think either of those guys, either Baez or Bryant, I like Bryant a little more. I think he gives you more average. He gives you some versatility. He can play third. He can play left. So if I'm not with the Mets, I think that's the guy you go after, Bryant. But you're not too upset with Baez. I think this pitching has been weak, but you talk about getting Carlos Carrasco back. You're not sure what you're going to get with him, but he is going to be back with you. DeGrom is going to have a rehab start soon. So when he's going to be back and pitching for the Mets, the pitching is going to be a lot better. And Stroman's still been solid. He's still been one of your guys. Walker's declined a lot, but it's still been Stroman. And with Carrasco and DeGrom coming back, I'm a little more confident in this pitching. But the Mets have always been a story of a team that doesn't hit enough. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen from the Mets. So I think Chris Bryant's a really good fit. I think that's someone who would really help this offense. And like I said, the defensive versatility, third and left, is really likable if you're the Mets.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in real quick here. I haven't really been concerned with this. Like, I guess a little concerned with the pitching depth right now. But like you said, Mike, like Carrasco is pitching Friday. So he's going to be back very soon. DeGrom, it looks like, I'm sure a rehab assignment will be in the near future, although they're being very cautious, understandably, with a guy like him. And then you have Stroman and Walker, who have been, up and down a little, but for the most part, very consistent and very solid 2 and 3 options in the rotation. And then who knows what you get from Syndergaard, and then you have Rich Hill as well. Those are a lot of names I just listed for a starting rotation that really in the playoffs, you only need 4 guys. So for me, that's something where you can't be too worried. You're kind of assuming that some of these guys come back fully healthy, but I think that's fair to assume and something to kind of bank on as one of your strengths for this team.
Sam, you mentioned Carlos Carrasco. What's the level of optimism around him kind of in Mets circles, or just what's your expectation for him and his start on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a crazy game on Friday. I'm super excited to be there. It's the black jerseys are back, which is going to be awesome. It should be a packed house. And then, of course, you have Carrasco making his Mets debut. All that coming together. I'm not sure if he'll be on an innings limit or a pitch count limit. Probably not. He'll probably just be monitored closely by Rojas and the pitching staff. So I don't expect too much in his first start in a while. I'm sure he'll probably go like 80 pitches or something like that. But down the road, I do expect him to be a valuable starter in this rotation. Certainly slide into like maybe a number 4 spot behind potentially DeGrom, Stroman, and Walker, of course. If he can do that and even pitch some innings in October, I mean, that would be really a huge benefit for this team because it's almost like you're trading for him in the fact that you're getting him right before the deadline, isn't pitched for you all year, and you know what he can bring to this team. So I think Carrasco, definitely, I'm pretty optimistic with what he can bring to the starting pitch.
Yeah, I think the Carrasco coming back, even if you get something close to what he's capable of, I think that's good enough for this Mets team as a fourth starter. I mean, since 2013, he's had 1 year under a 4 ERA. I think that's really impressive. I mean, his career is 3.77. I think anyone's taking that in this today's MLB as their fourth starter. And it's also a different MLB since he's gotten hurt with the spin rate and dead in baseballs. We're not sure what Carrasco we could see this time. So we could see a totally different pitcher, and that could help his case. So I think that if Carrasco comes even 90 or 95% of what he's capable of, then it's a really good fourth option for the Mets, and it's going to be huge entering the playoffs.
Now, I heard that the Nationals said that there was no chance that they would part ways with Scherzer and send him to a division rival. But if we're so confident about this Mets rotation, why are they even checking tabs on this guy? Or is that just all rumors? Don't pay attention to that.
No, it's certainly more than a rumor. I think the Mets are just like really casting a wide net and looking at any ways to kind of improve this team. And that's what Zach Scott, the GM for the Mets, kind of talked about, how it's not about getting a bat. It's not about getting an arm. It's about just finding the best players that. And another big thing is fitting in with the clubhouse and with the chemistry. That's something that the front office has talked about a lot, because this Mets team and their success all year has been a big part because of that chemistry in the clubhouse. That's just been an integral part of their success for sure. So it's about finding a good candidate, whether that be a starting pitcher, a reliever, or a bat as well, that can fit into the clubhouse. That's kind of a big part of it as well. So they're certainly looking everywhere, which makes it really exciting for the next, under 48 hours here until the deadline to see where they go. I just hope they do get someone, because I think they could certainly benefit from a piece, because the division, they're not running away with it. This series against the Braves presented a good opportunity for them to kind of gain some ground and really set themselves apart from the other teams in the division. It's not happening. So I think it's going to be a tight division race down the stretch, no matter how good the Phillies or Braves are. So you need to keep adding. And I think they really should for the July 30th deadline.
Yeah, I also think with a guy like Scherzer, like, it's hard not to try. I mean, he immediately becomes your number one starter on any team if Jacob deGrom wasn't there already. So, I mean, I think any team, no matter what pitching they would have, would try to go after a guy like that when he's really an A-list pitcher. So that's probably the reason why the Mets went after him, or at least tried or intrigued, and had some interest in him. But what we're hearing now is that he goes out to the West, probably to one of those NL West teams. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because whatever team gets him probably will be the front runner in that division.
Last question. I just want to hear both of your thoughts on, realistically, what do you think the Mets are going to do come Friday, 4 p.m.?
Realistically, I think that's a really tough question. I want to say Chris Bryant, but I'm not going to, just because that's been a rumor for a long time. I don't know if it'll actually happen. John Gray is certainly a piece that I could see them going and get an extra kind of starter to throw in the back end of the rotation. That seems like something. And then he can also maybe even be a long reliever, or Rich Hill turns into a long reliever if too many starters is a problem that you have, I guess. So that could be a realistic move. But honestly, I hate to say I don't know, but I don't know for sure. Who knows? We'll see.
Like Sam, I don't have the crystal ball here, but the Mets are without a doubt aggressive suitors in this market. I'm going to predict that someone on the Cubs ends there, whether it's Javier Baez or it's Chris Bryant. Craig Kimbrell's also on the market. So I think one of those guys might land in Queens, but we're just going to have to wait to find out.
I'm thinking Javier Baez ends up there, but that's just me.
That would be something.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to play with Lindor. That's what he says.
Yeah.